There's been a lot of excitement lately over the new release of the 1950 census records, and rightly so. But be careful. Be very, very careful. Okay, now, without the dramatics, yeah, you really do have to use caution when you're doing research in the census records. So we'll talk about that right after this. Hi, fellow roadie. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for joining me. Hey, listen, my name's Greg. I've been doing research for genealogy in my family history for over 30 years. And I make these videos to share with you some of the things I've learned along the way. And frankly, some of the things I'm still learning, because you never, ever stop learning, especially in doing family history. So, hey, before we get underway, please go down below and click on that like button and the subscribe button. And if you really want to, click that bell button, because that way you'll get an email every time I post a video. So you'll never be left behind. You'll always be right up to date on my videos. Thank you so much. That helps me out a lot. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that I think that census records are one of the greatest records that we can use to find our family history. But there's always a but, right? Well, there's especially a but in this case. Now, when the enumerators went around to take the census with people in their district that they were assigned, they went around house to house, and they asked people the information that they're writing down in that census record: their name, their age, where they were born, when they immigrated, if they did immigrate, what their job is, and so on and so forth. Depending on the particular census, those questions might be a little bit different. The big thing about this is that they just wrote down exactly what the people told them. Now, was all that information accurate? Well, being an optimist, I really do believe that most of that information is accurate and correct. But sometimes it wasn't even the people in that household that gave the information. Now, I had heard that before, but I didn't know that until I was paging through the 1950 census, and I did actually find a page where the enumerator said that he found information from the people next door, the person he was talking to right now, because no one was home there. So he asked the person if he knows about the people next door, and I don't know whether he really knew the accurate information about those people or not. I wish I had taken a screenshot of that page to show you, but I didn't, so I don't have that to show you right now. But I do want to show you another example or two of how you need to be careful when you're looking through the census records. Let's go over to the computer, okay? Here you see a part of a census page from the 1950 census. Now, once you look in the middle there, there's a family whose head is a woman named Hilda Londrino, right there. I see that she's got 5 children listed there. So it's all the Londrino family, right? Well, you know what? I know from previous research, and I know factually, that this woman had been married 3 times. Her latest married name is Londrino. I also know that only one of those children has the name Londrino. Now, why would the census enumerator not even mention that? Well, my theory is that he just asked the mother there, okay, what's your name, ma'am? Oh, it's Hilda Londrino. Okay, could you tell me the names of your children? And she said, okay, my children are Dolores, who's 21 years old, Kenneth, who's 18 years old, Hilda, who's 10 years old, Elmer, who's 8 years old, and Patrick, who's 1 year old. She probably didn't even mention their surnames. Why didn't she do that? Well, we don't know. Did she leave that off on purpose? I tend to think not. I think it went exactly like that. The census enumerator said, okay, ma'am, tell me the names of your children. And she did that. So that's how this came out. Now you see that they have under Hilda Landrino's name, they have the lines underneath where the surname would normally go for a person, which indicates that that's the same surname as listed above. And I know that's not the case, but if you're just researching this family, beginning to research them, you will not know that. You will not know that. So you might be caught off guard on this whole thing here. Let me take you to another example, because being cautious about this information that's provided by people doesn't just end with the census. Let me show you an example. Okay, here we have a death certificate from the state of Pennsylvania, and the deceased name is Casper Mayer. You might have seen that name in some of the other examples I've been giving on my YouTube channel here. But anyway, so in this case, this was in 1910. This was not too long after they started doing the official civil death records like this. So these death certificates have a great amount of information, and I'll go into this in more depth when I do a video a little later, or you can check and see if I've done it yet on death certificates specifically. But now, take a look at this one. You see there's an area down here where it will have the name of the father of the deceased, where he was born, and the name of the mother of the deceased and where she was born. Now, you can see where it says maiden name of mother. It has the name Christina Beekler. Now, Christina Beekler is in my chain of ancestors. However, for this person, Casper Mayer, this is actually the maiden name of his mother-in-law. I know this from other research. That is actually the name of his mother-in-law. Now, the birthplace is probably correct, but now we have to look and see. It doesn't always happen on death certificates, but it may show who was the informant, who gave the information about this person that's deceased, other than on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, a doctor who attended this person gives the information. But on the left-hand side, you see near the bottom there that the person who was the informant is a person by the name of C.W. Ollibrand. C.W. Ollibrand. Well, who is that? Well, in most cases, an informant on a death certificate will be a spouse or a child or someone who knew the person very well. Now, I don't know who this C.W. Ollibrand is, except for the fact that he was the undertaker who made the arrangements for Casper's funeral. Now, how do I know that? Well, it says so down below at the very bottom on the right-hand side. It says name of the undertaker, C.W. Ollibrand. Same as the person who gave the information. Now, did C.W. know Casper? If he knew him, did he know him well? Now, you can see that the person who died was 88 years old when they died, so maybe there were no children to give the information, or maybe the children did not live in that area when this death certificate was filled out. We just don't know. Now, we know his wife isn't around, because if it says single, married, widowed, or divorced, it says widowed. So we know his spouse isn't there to give the information. In this case, once again, because this information was being provided by someone someone else that may not be closely associated with the family even, that they gave wrong maiden name for his mother. It was actually his mother-in-law's maiden name, which seems to indicate to me that he did know something about the family, but maybe just got confused, it's hard to tell. We just know that that information is wrong. There you go. That's why you have to be very careful when you're doing research in the census records, and really almost any record you might come across when you're doing family history research. But I want to especially talk about the census in this video, just because, once again, there's all this excitement about the 1950 census, but just be aware that you don't know who gave that information about that family. It's usually the head of the household. If the head of the household is a man, he might be away at work, and so the wife might be giving that information. Other than that, if it wasn't one of those two, as I mentioned earlier, it could be even a neighbor that gave that information, and you don't know how accurate that information is. So you just need to cross-check with other sources to see if that information is accurate. Don't go assuming just from that one source, the census, that the information you have is correct. Just be diligent in doing that, and you'll be fine. You'll be just fine. So, hey, listen, thank you for joining me for this video, folks, and I'll see you next time on the road to your family history.